The fears of the shortages have led to inflated requests. We have some states and areas where they're just asking for far more. I mean, look, we had one state asking for 40,000 ventilators. 40,000. Think of it, 40,000. It's not possible.
He's talking about New York State, by the way. President Trump speaking today on what he calls inflated requests for supplies amid the global pandemic. Joining me now is Lieutenant General Russel Honore, commander of Joint Task Force Katrina. General, you and I have, it must have been a month ago you and I spoke, and the president had just finished saying, and by the way, General Honore, as you can see, has got his mask there. The president had just said the federal government is not a shipping organization. That's not our job. And one of the points you made, and one of the points every American saw in 2005 when they saw you in Louisiana, is that the one thing that the federal government and the military in this country can do is logistics, and this is becoming a massive logistics nightmare.
Yeah, and you know, with all the electronics we got now and tracking of the supply chain, you would think if we really had stuff on the way, we would see the numbers. We go through an hour's brief every day with very few facts other than maybe one or two numbers coming out, but it would be very easy to give the doctors and those in the hospital some kind of confidence to show what's in the supply chain, or either put it on an online streaming where you can go in and check it at the FEMA website. None of that's being done. It's all being done on faith. And the bottom line, Al, if it was working, it would be okay to do something different. But the problem is it's not working. Daily, we see doctors and nurses coming off shift and protesting because they don't have the stuff they need to adequately protect themselves and their patients. It's not working. So we don't have much time. If this is the big week, then I would hope that tomorrow they will start off with a FEMA update to the American people to really see, because we should be knowing by tail number now what aircraft are inbound from China or Turkey or wherever they're buying this stuff. And where is it going? I think people need confidence on the ground so they can continue to do their work.
But you know, there's two problems, General. There's that problem about being able to track it and trace it, and something we should be able to do in 2020. But there's also this problem that in these briefings, we get contradictory information. The president says it's not possible that a state could want 40 ventilators. Well, I would imagine that that is something that can be established, right? If New York wanted the 40,000, someone can say it's valid or it's not valid, but they should have some data on which to think it. You've got Jared Kushner saying they just don't need these things. And again, on what basis? You are a guy who deployed your troops on the basis of data and a needs analysis. That doesn't seem to be happening. There seems to be a lot of opinion about what people need and don't need.
Yeah, I mean, when we deployed over 220 helicopters to New Orleans, the Army, the Department of Defense, or the White House never told me we didn't need that many helicopters, or we didn't need 20 ships and the U.S. in conflict. Nobody said you don't need this. They said it because they saw the need. One of the principles of logistics, Ali, is anticipation. And we failed to anticipate. That's why our stocks were low. Now we've got the problem with how do we get the critical supplies to where they need them. And this is right now, my hat's off to all the doctors and the people that are trying to fix this, but we're not getting the results on the ground. And this is the critical week. It's time to straighten up with the American people and let them know what's coming. And we've got to start finding solutions like Governor Cuomo and the governor in Oregon and start cross-leveling supplies, because I don't think they're coming in.
Which, again, is something that the military can do. Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, said that. He said, look, every state shouldn't have the maximum number of ventilators it needs at all times. We should be able to move them out because New York is going to hit its peak before Iowa does and before Utah does. And it is actually the military that we can depend upon, the National Guard and the military, to say, hey, let's mobilize. Let's get these ones out of New York. New York's off its peak now. We have extra respirators. Let's figure out exactly where the hot spots are. We've got a map we can put up right now to show you where these hotspots are around the country. Let's get them to where we need them. We don't need 100% of all the ventilators that we'll ever need all at once.
Absolutely. You know, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It's called days of supply. And we've never gotten that count and never seen anything that is accurate. A solution would be to put 2 National Guard soldiers in every hospital and go in with the quartermaster of each hospital and count what's there and figure out the days of supply so you could cross level. They're going to have to make some decisions, and they're going to have to do some cross leveling more than just volunteering like Oregon did. We're going to have to get some cross leveling between hospitals to be able to take care of New York, then deal with New Orleans, because the demand based on the governor of both states is going to be higher than what the federal government say they have on hand now.
We're looking at that hot spot right now. You see the Northeast, you see New Orleans, you see Chicago, you see Detroit, you see hot spots in Seattle, you see Southern California, and you start to see them in other parts of the country. General, there are days I go to sleep thinking that I had a feeling when I first saw you in 2005 taking over Joint Task Force Katrina, and I felt like someone's on the case and it's getting done. And there are a lot of Americans missing that feeling right now. There was a captain relieved of his command on the USS Theodore Roosevelt because he drew to the attention of his superiors that there is a coronavirus outbreak that is endangering his sailors. I want to just, while you're here, I want to play for my viewers the response that his sailors gave him as he exited that ship, the Theodore Roosevelt, for the last time. General, that gave me a moment of hope. It made me realize that the people who are serving our country around the world and keeping us safe still know that the world is the right side up.
Absolutely. Our great Navy. If you've ever been on a carrier and see what those sailors do to keep us safe around the world, that is a huge sacrifice for the short quarters they have to live in. And the send-off they gave to the captain is ultimate respect. And that captain did something that many people in Washington never had to do. Make a decision between the mission or the men. And as opposed to violating his mission, he looked out for his men because his mission still could be accomplished. And I hope that in the days to come, that this captain will be treated well by this nation, because he made a decision many in uniform and in Washington never had to do. And he put the sacrifice of his men first. And I hope the United States of America recognize that. The good news is the next captain of that ship is on that ship. The Navy got a great process. The next person that's going to command it is on this cruise. So that crew, I wish him well. They're going to get this done. Go, Roosevelt. Y'all can do this.
They're going to get it done.
And follow that captain, the new captain.
Lieutenant, please stay out there. I know you're tweeting a lot. I know you're getting on TV. Please stay out there. The nation needs you as well. Lieutenant General Russel Honore, commander of Joint Task Force Katrina.